Yeah, it's too close then. It's fine. It'll work. Let me pull up the first thing that is on the review, which is lab equipment. Here's what I'd like you to do. You can either use your whiteboard and a marker, or you could use paper if you prefer, but I'm gonna show you a piece of lab equipment and I simply want you to write it down. Go ahead, this is the first one. What is it? You can show it to me, that's fine. You can hold it up. If it's on paper, it's okay. All right, what is it, everybody? All right, awesome. This is the second one, what is it? And guys, remember, the exam is multiple choice, so you'll obviously have 4 choices, right, from which to choose. But awesome, what is it? It's a graduated cylinder. Next one.
He's releasing something stupid.
Probably one that goes a bit higher than this. Awesome, what is it? Thermometer. All right, what is it, everybody?
Stopwatch.
Good, here's the next one. Okay, so it is a microscope, but what type specifically? Noah, what do you have? It's a dissecting microscope. What's the other type? Uh-oh, what do I have? What's that thing? Let me say okay. Thank you. All right, Sarah, what is it? Compound microscope. Awesome. What's this?
My mom was quizzing us last night and she thought that was a container.
Well, they kind of are. But all right, everybody, what is it? Petri dish. Now, these are your dissection tools, so let's start from the left. What's this one? Okay, it grabs, and this one? Probe and dissection scissors or scissors. Okay, what's that? Write it down. Yep, pretty easy. What is it, everybody?
Funnel.
Funnel. Awesome. What are those? Write it down. Looks great. What is it? Test tubes. All right. What do you have, everybody? Beaker tongs. Awesome. What are these? Good. I see safety goggles. So that makes these safety glasses. Beautiful. All right, next one. Remember, these are used for transferring powders. What is it, everybody? Spatula, great. This, remember, has a cord that you plug in. Awesome, what is it? Hot plate. Great, what is it, everybody? Electronic scale. Great, what is it, everybody? Pipette. All right, what is it? Meter stick, and the last one. What is it, everybody?
Triple beam balls.
Awesome. For the next part of the review, we're gonna go over the lab safety rules, and I'm actually gonna pull up the exact lab safety quiz that you took on Google Forms earlier this year. So what I'm gonna ask you to do is, again, use your whiteboard or your paper to write down the correct answer. Now, to make this easier, let's call these A, B, C, and D. You don't have to write out all the words, okay, just the letter. So let me make it a bit bigger, and we'll just go through these again. All right, there is number one. Just A, B, C, or D works. What do you have, everybody? A, you notify the teacher. The teacher will decide what to do. How about number two? Awesome, what's the right answer?
D.
D, great. All right, what's the correct answer?
C.
C, good. Correct answer?
B.
B, great. Correct answer?
D.
D, good. What's the right answer?
D.
Good. All right, correct answer?
D.
Great. What is it?
A.
Always against the rules, good. Correct answer?
B.
Yep, B. Correct answer?
B.
B. course, it's what?
D.
D. Correct answer?
D.
Yep, all of the above. These are just true, false. Is it true or false?
True.
True, good. Alright, correct answer? True. Answer is
False.
false. Answer?
True.
True, good. Answer? True, definitely. Answer?
True.
Got it. Two more. Answer?
False.
Of course, it's false, and this is the last one. And again, the answer,
False.
false. Awesome. Okay. Good. Next, we're gonna move on to the metric system and measurement. And I think I'm gonna use the whiteboard over here. So let me move my iPad and then we'll just do some review with that. Alright, who remembers the silly sentence that I gave you to remember those prefixes in the metric system? Luke, go for it.
King Henry doesn't usually drink chocolate milk.
King Henry doesn't usually drink chocolate milk. So K stands for what? Kilo. H? Deca. This is, remember, your base unit. This would be which three things that we studied? Gram, meter, and liter. Good. And then D stands for deci, centi, milli. Good. All right, let's do some practice problems. Again, you're welcome to put them on your whiteboard or you're welcome to work them out on paper. Let's try this one first. Can everybody see that? Over here, Jaren, you can see it okay? Okay.
Can you put the arrow saying if it's,
What do you mean? You want me to put multiply or divide? Okay, so if you're going to the right, does anyone remember, do you multiply or divide, Jaren?
no, wait,
Multiply, and when you go to the left, you divide. But remember, you can also use my method of just how many times you move. So for example, we're starting at which step, Ellie? What's the first one given?
millimeter,
Milli, right? And we're moving to where? Centi. So we're moving once to the left. So if you take the decimal in 47 and move it once to the left, you should have gotten 4.7. Try this one. So remember, this isn't milli, this is meters. If there's only one letter, it's our base unit. If there's two letters, then you're gonna use the prefix. So we're going from meter up to kilometer. So from here, 1, 2, 3 to the left. If you do that with the decimal point, you should get 4.568 kilometers. Try this one. So we're starting at milligram, going to gram. 1, 2, 3 to the left. If you take the decimal and move it the same number of places, you should have gotten 4.5. Noah, did you have a question?
Yeah. Will true or false be in the exam?
No, true or false will not be. You mean those types of questions? Nope, every single question has 4 possible answers, A, B, C, or D. So obviously with these, I would probably give you options like 45, 450, you know what I mean? And you have to figure out the correct one. All right, let's try another one, 1.2
I
kilograms.
was told there's an unruly student in here.
Oh, Dad, no. Just stop, please, please.
Dr. Bulio.
Oh, good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, how are we doing, guys?
You're not red at all. Great. We're reviewing for our exam.
Yeah, how are you guys feeling about exams?
Hi, Dad.
You feeling good about it? Feeling
They're
good?
doing really well.
My advice is just look it over, you know this stuff, and get some good sleep. Take care of yourself. Stress is your enemy, right? I mean, you know this. You've been working hard. And this is, you should think of this as just a chance to show off what you know. Okay? So I can't wait to see you in the upper school in 2.5 years.
Right.
It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
How have you been?
I'm well, thanks.
All right, so,
Good to see you.
That kid will be suspended for 5 or 6 days.
Okay, perfect.
I'll let the parents know.
Perfect. Sounds
Thanks.
great. Thanks.
Hi, Dad.
All right, 1.2 kilograms to grams. He doesn't know he was on camera.
Yeah.
Don't tell him.
Yep.
All right, so kilograms to grams, we're moving 1, 2, 3 to the right. So if you do the same thing with the decimal, you should get 1,200. Good, all right. We'll try 2 more. 563 milliliters into liters. Starting here, 1, 2, 3 to the left. One, 2, 3 to the left should give you 0.563. And then let's try this last one, 9.08 liters equals how many milliliters? So we're starting here, 1, 2, 3 to the right. You should have gotten 9,080. How are we feeling with these? I posted in Google Classroom in the stream, you have to scroll down a little bit, a bunch of pages of these practice problems and an answer key. If you need extra practice, check there, okay? We're gonna move on. Measuring length. There's really not much I can do for you here for practice. You just have to be able to read a ruler. I can tell you that I'm gonna be providing you with a ruler for the exam. There will be 2 questions where you're asked to measure a line. So obviously, you know already that you're probably gonna be using which 2 units to measure in.
Centimeters and inches.
Centimeters or
Inches.
Meters.
millimeters.
Oh, millimeters.
So make sure, now again, most rulers are, I mean, they're pretty standard, other than remember to look where 0 is. Is 0 the edge of the ruler, or does 0 happen to be a little bit right off the edge? You always line up the end of the line at 0. Make sure you know the difference. And you read it carefully on the exam, what you're asked to measure in. Okay, measuring mass. What tool in the lab do we use to measure mass? What tool have we used a lot, Lucia? Well, that's the unit. We measure mass in grams, but what's the actual piece of equipment? Sutton?
True bouncing.
Triple beam balance. Triple beam balance. And we can also use another electronic device. What else could we use? Elena? Electronic scale. Okay. So if I'm measuring mass, my units are always going to be what? What are my base units? Everybody. Grams. Always in grams. All right, let's talk about volume. Remember, volume is the amount of space something takes up. So what unit do we use to measure the volume of solids? What unit do we use? Sarah,
Solid volume.
say that again?
Is it a solid volume?
Yes,
Is it centimeters?
yes. Cubic centimeters, written like this, or written out like this. Remember, that is if you're talking about a rock, if you're talking about a box, any solid is always measured, the volume is always measured in cubic centimeters. What about liquid volume? The volume of liquids. We would use a graduated cylinder, right? And what are our units in, Kara? Do you need a help hand here?
Yeah.
Okay, Ellie?
Liters?
Liters, or yes, liter would be your base unit. In the lab, we used milliliters quite a bit, right? Milliliter. Good. What are 3 ways we can measure volume? So what if it's a cube that we're measuring? Well, how would we measure the volume of that, Sanjay? Length times width times height. Okay. What if it's a solid, but it is a rock? What if it's an irregular solid? How do we measure it then? Jaren,
Displacement.
tell me more. What do you mean by displacement?
Like you fill a thing with water and then you put the rock in and the water spills out. And you measure how much water fell out.
Okay, good. So that's using a displacement can, right? What if I just had a graduated cylinder? Can somebody describe how I could, and the rock fit inside the graduated cylinder? Luke, how would I measure the volume of the rock then?
You'd see the starting amount of liquid, and when after you place the rock in, then you would see how much the water level has changed.
Okay, so let's say it started at 62 milliliters. I put the rock in, and it went up to 74 milliliters. What's the volume of my rock? Started at 62, went to 74. Ellie,
11 meters.
not 11,
Millimeters.
not 11.
Oh, sorry. 12.
12, but it's also not milliliters.
Mm.
Even though you're using water and it's measured in milliliters, we have to change milliliters to what? You guys remember this, Elena? Cubic centimeters would be, that would be your answer for the volume of that rock. Remember, 1 milliliter of water is also equal to, it takes up the same amount of space as 1 cubic centimeter. Okay, those two things are equal. All right. Questions about that? Jaren? Yes. All right, and then finally it said define mass and weight. What's the difference, guys, between mass and weight? Rihan?
Mass will never change even if you're on the moon, and weight would change.
You're right, so mass stays the same based on your location, whereas weight will change. Colton, what else did you have?
Mass is the amount of room something takes up, and weight is how heavy something is.
Yes, I think, well, there's a little bit more to it. I think you're missing a piece. Kara?
Mass is the amount of matter in an object, and weight is the, like, I don't know how to say this, like, gravity.
The pull of,
Pull of gravity
on-
an object.
good. So again, mass is the amount of matter in an object, the amount of stuff that makes it up. All those atoms and molecules that make it up, that's mass. Weight is a measurement of how much gravity is pulling on that mass. Okay? Part C, the scientific method. I'm gonna give myself some more boardroom here. First question, what's the difference between a scientific hypothesis, theory, and law? So I guess let's start with the hypothesis. What is it? Lucia? Yeah, it can be an educated guess. Another word for it, maybe a better word for it might be what? Isak?
I have something else.
What did you have?
It's a possible answer to a question based on like experience and knowledge.
Answer to a question. I'm also gonna say a prediction. Right? Now, if you have a hypothesis and it's proven, okay, time and time again, it can possibly become a scientific what, Sanjay? What's a theory?
Theory is consisting of multiple or one hypothesis that have yet been proven or they're yet proven, but it's widely accepted as true.
This is proven, I'll just say over and over. Widely accepted as true, but does everybody agree with it?
No.
Not necessarily. If a theory cannot be proven wrong, it can become a scientific what, Luke?
Law. And
Law.
a
And
law.
how would you describe a scientific law?
It's short, sweet, and always true, and it cannot be disproven.
Never proved wrong. Okay. Scientific method steps. Let's list those over here. What's the first step of the scientific method? Always start with a what? Elena?
Does that have a problem or a
Yeah, problem or a question. Then the second step is to develop a what? Sarah? Hypothesis. Good. Then what do you need to do after you have your hypothesis? Luke?
Make experiment.
Yeah, so this is where you would write up what's called the procedure, right? The steps of your experiment. You would do the experiment. During the experiment, you'll probably do what? Noah?
Put some data.
Collect data. After that, what would you do with the data? What would you do after that? Isaac?
You would write your conclusion.
Yep, conclusion, and on that same note, you would analyze your data. In other words, what does it mean? What do all the numbers that I gathered mean? And then finally, there's one more step at the very end. A real scientist doing real research would do what for others? Sanjay? Communicate their findings with others. Good. All right, parts of the experiment. Parts of an experiment. I can tell you on the exam, you will be given 2 examples of 2 different experiments, and you will be asked to identify the independent variable, dependent variable, and control, or controls. So remember, the independent variable is what part of the experiment? What part is it? Luke?
It's the part where scientist is changing it.
The part that the scientist changes on purpose. Okay, that's the part that is changed. The dependent variable is what then, Noah?
It's the thing that you measure in the experiment.
The thing being measured. And the control or controlled variables are what? Well, how would you describe those? Sarah? Right, so that's everything else that has to remain the same between or amongst your experiment. What we're gonna do next is I'm gonna give you a few sample exam questions. I'm gonna project them up here. Again, I'd like you to use your whiteboard or your paper to answer those sample questions on. All right. Try number, actually I'll put up 1 and 2, they fit nicely. Go ahead and answer question 1 and 2. These were repeats from what we did just earlier. Good. Everybody has D and D. Nice job. Let's try the next. Try number 3. Good. everybody has B, graduated cylinder, awesome, how about this one? Just a little blurry, but I think you know it. Good, C, triple beam balance. I'm gonna put up both of those. You can try each of them, I'll give you a couple more minutes for this. Do both 5 and 6, please. Okay, what's the answer to 5?
D.
D, good, 1. 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams, and how about 6?
B.
B, 0.456 meters should be your answer. Alright. Let's try question 8. Awesome, what's your answer?
D.
D, 11.5 cubic centimeters. Try number 9. You should notice that it's an if-then statement, which tells you right away that it's what?
B.
B, it's a hypothesis, a prediction. Okay? Go ahead and answer 10 and 11. Okay, real quick, the dependent variable is the thing that is measured, so therefore it is
A.
A, the distance. The independent variable is the thing the experimenter is changing on purpose, which is what?
C.
B, the type of paper. Using different types of paper, guys, it's listed right in the experiment. There's one more. Which one of these would be a control for that experiment?
The type of paper.
They do
The
the
data.
experiment.
The type of airplane that you fold would have to be the same for each one. Parts D and E are due tomorrow. Have a great day.
Mr. Elder,
Location line.